Welcome to another episode of Inspired Content, where right now I'm moving into something similar that I did in November last year. I did it during National Novel Writing Month. I think it'd be more conducive to do it the month before to generate ideas that then can be used in November. So what I'll be doing is 5 stories, 5 episodes where I read 2 short stories each, and then 5 episodes where I do 2 episodes of a television program, and then 5 episodes of storytelling games, and then 5 episodes that are products or services that people can use to create and distribute things to the world. So starting right now, we're doing a week of short stories, and I'll do one of each from a different book each day. This is Isaac Asimov's Isaac's Universe, and these are some science fiction short stories. They're written by different authors like Robert Silverberg, David Brin, Robert Shelley, Paul Anderson, and Harry Turtleduff. And I'll read one of those each day, and then I've got this book here, which is a book of wizards, edited by Marvin Kaye, and there are some short stories in here. I'll pick one of these each time. I'm starting from the back of this one because of the length of the first story being extraordinarily long. But I'll take a look at those stories, and then I'll come back and I'll give you 6 points for each of them for ideas to take them further. So I'll see you on the other side. First two stories that we're doing this week were the story from Isaac's Universe that was called They Hide, We Seek, and I'm gonna rate that one a 4.7 out of a 5.3. I kind of did enjoy it a bit. It's a good story. It's enjoyable. It's a little short. I think there's more story to be told there, and of course there will be other stories in the collection to look through. But I'm gonna try not to give too many spoilers on it, because I think people should definitely take a look at it. But the ideas it inspires. An Earthship finds a known alien ship orbiting a planet that it should not be interested in or even possible for them to live on. And after some posturing and conflict and diplomacy, reluctantly there's a kind of a partnership that's formed, which they go to investigate, only to find out that this strange thing that is drawing them both to explore further is holograms, illusions, and sensor glitches set up by the alien species as a fly trap to catch others. Third race involved in a situation like this has instead discovered a sort of a contained wormhole that has no gravitational effects on the surface of the planet, but people just coming in around the edge of something that's not visible disappear through to the other side of wherever they show up. And they're trying to figure it out because it seems to be part of a network where the timing or the direction one goes in affects where one shows up. And so some people are getting lost as they go in, and some people are coming back from places that they thought were lost. Okay, so to have a species either like the flyers or maybe make them a swimming species, holding holding a chunk of territory hidden like that, that they've discovered, that they didn't create, but they've discovered a space and then obscured it in a way that nobody else is finding it, because they're holding what they found inside another race hostage, because it conflicts with their sense of their self-superiority. They believe they are better than all the ones who crawl on land. So they've found this advanced and powerful species that could maybe claim credit for populating other planets, and they're holding it hostage because that it would then dispel not only the narrative that they're trying to construct about their own superiority, but it could also potentially cause like a psychotic break in their own population as they suddenly realize that the one thing they believed that made them better than everybody else isn't what they think it is. It would just devastate their population, and they can't have that happen. Okay, so a discovered hidden planet or dimensional pocket or spaceship of some kind, and two species are conflicting over it, and you have parties or even just a team of two people in scout ships, each hunting each other and trying to eliminate each other and lay sole claim to the discovery, and only to find out that the aliens of the city were their own beings, which are two halves of the same species. So in this case it would be something like, it's alien women and alien men, but you don't describe them as such because they've lived apart so long that they have their own civilizations that would make you believe that they're either bigendered or a single gendered species. But I mean, do it a little bit different than that. You don't do the easy gender side of that one. But the hiding spot is actually a doorway to the future, and what is found on the other side of that doorway is both amazingly optimistic for some of them and absolutely heartbreaking for what it means for others. A battle breaks out for possession of the hidden, enshrouded, trapped in time bubble or space bubble kind of thing, that pocket dimension. And when the battle is settled and one side is dead and gone, the victors, limping but there, get to claim their prize, and they open that secret pocket up, and out of it spews a thing they can't stop. And as it grows out of that bubble, they have very few minutes before it becomes a thing that'll lay waste to huge sections of the universe. And the only thing that can stop it was some knowledge, technique, or ability of the people who lost the fight. Okay, so next, moving to the second story we did, which was Night of the Well in the A Book of Wizards collection. I would rate this a 5.4 out of a 6.1. I would say that one of the huge chunks of detail that they spent so much time laying out in the beginning was absolutely meaningless to me. It lent nothing to the story for me for the most part. It was just, and it took so long to do that it was hard for me to get immersed in the story because of it. But ideas that it inspired, this one's a little dark, but the idea of water mage and elemental spirits like nixies and mermaids and stuff like that, for some reason there was a part of me that felt that it would be shocking and somewhat horrible to find out that what makes it possible for water mages to have their power over water is that somewhere within their cult, somebody has seized a elemental of a certain river or lake or something and shackled them, trapped them, held them captive, and drains off the heart water, the blood or something of that effect from this being, and makes a drink that they feed to acolytes who don't know what they're drinking. They think it's some potion or something or other, and it empowers them to become mages. And you can have a main character who partakes of this stuff and then has to, figure out if they're complicit in the enslavement and torture of this being, or set that being free at the cost of all magedom, I guess. A trade port that is half underwater, and it's the site of trade between the underwater species and the land-dwelling species. And because it's a major port town for two different species, it's prime ground for stories to be told in. A city where every person born in the city has a reflected person born in an underwater city. So for every human born in the city, there's a mermaid or merman born under the city in the waters around it. A mystery involves one of these watery doppelgangers taking the place of their human, be it Prince and the Pauper style, or a changeling, or something more nefarious going on. A town plagued by fey mischief, because the Fae are upset because their crown prince has skipped out on his responsibilities to their kingdom. And he's done this because he wants to go chasing those exotic human women. At least that's what they believe is going on. And the human mage or witch who's charged with finding out what the cause of the Fae mischief is and appeasing them in some way, doesn't know that the minstrel or the tinker or the person who's pursuing her as part of a love triangle is in fact that missing prince. And she doesn't know that they're looking for a prince. She just knows that the Fae are upset about something. And she's in a love triangle with a police officer constable. And she's trying to be in a professional relationship with him to try to figure out what's going on, while he's trying to solve what's causing conflict within the city and resolving any of those problems. Meanwhile, the prince who's the cause of it all is pursuing her while big mess there. Supernatural investigator in a fantasy setting who's a failed monk because he is both aware of and to a certain degree can tap or interact with supernatural forces that got him excommunicated from the religion to which he was a monk. An ancient mage chooses her successor, or his successor, by sort of stirring up, unbeknownst to everybody else, stirring up some magic chaos as sort of a preamble to get acolytes or assistants or a citizen to investigate and help with errands to try to resolve this. And only through exploration and really tapping into talents that would be important for a mage of some kind to discover that the solution to the problem is to sacrifice the mage to the currents of magic. And the sacrificer then becomes the new mage, and the mage becomes one with the flow of magic as one of the spirits within the magic. And only once that one person is able to go that far, discover it, and do what's needed to see the resolution, do they become aware of the whole implications of the process, and they become the new mage. Alright, so those are all the ideas I came up for these two stories. I'm trying to get on a decent schedule. I've recently picked up some part-time work, so I might be a little bit off, but I'll see you in the next day or so for the next installment.